One of the main reasons why I wanted to get here and in front of you guys is to kind of get out the message as what TC Braun Construction does. Many of you know my father, Wally Braun, and my business is quite different from the way he operated and the buildings that he built. And I'm still finding today that many people don't realize what I do and what we offer. First, I'll give you a little introduction. This is my family, my wife Alicia, my son Carter, my daughter Jordan, and our other son Wyatt. They're 4, 3, and 10 months. So as you can see, life at home is even busier than life in the office. Some of my interests, you can see my dad and myself, we like to go snowmobiling, do some ice fishing. We like to do some camping as a family, and I raced stock cars at Merrittville Speedway and traveled all over for the better half of 10 years, and that's where I met my wife and her family as well. So, give you a little history about where Braun Construction began. I'm actually the 3rd generation in the family business. My great uncle Abe started in 1949, primarily building and developing subdivisions here in St. Catharines and Niagara Falls. Later on in his career, he actually got into some more commercial work, building small commercial buildings and such, but mainly focused on residential. My grandfather, which was his older brother, he actually began working for his young brother Abe as a trim carpenter, and I think got a little sick of living in his spotlight, so he went on his own and created John Braun and Sons, where again they built custom homes and developed some subdivisions with my oldest uncle Rudy Braun, which some of you guys may remember, hopefully for the right reasons. My dad began working with his father and then eventually left his father's business to go work with Abe. A few years later, in 1973, he started the 2nd generation of Braun Construction. And again, he continued in the residential market, mostly doing subdivisions. That didn't last for very long. He found his love for commercial construction and began doing churches, school additions, plazas, and eventually spent the better part of his career doing large-scale projects like hotels, water parks. And you'll see many of his works in the Niagara Falls area. So I started working for my dad when I was 14. Actually at one of the projects in the Falls, he was building the Foxhead Hotel, doubling it in size and renovating the main structure. I worked most of my summers throughout high school for my dad until I finished school and came on full-time with the family business. In January of 2008, I decided it was time to go on my own. Mainly, Dad was starting to plan for retirement, and stubborn German set in his ways did not want to change the focus at what he had done for so long. So the next stubborn German decided, okay, maybe I'll go on my own, we'll still work together, but we'll change the direction for the next generation of work. When I first started off, you'll see my first company vehicle in the top left corner. I bought myself a $2,000 van, hopped in my van with my tool belt, doing mostly handyman services, painting, trim carpentry, whatever I could do at the time, as my wife and I were newly married and I needed to put food on the table. Soon after that, we found ourselves expanding rapidly. We have 7 full-time employees now. My wife works part-time in the office for me, doing mostly payroll, bookkeeping, and I take care of all the estimating, basically right from the design phase through to estimating, site coordination, pre-ordering of materials, those things. We now have 3 divisions, again with the residential and the commercial. The commercial has scaled down quite a bit from what my dad has done. We still do plazas and churches, but we stay out of the major multi-million-dollar projects that he had focused on. Our shop is located with the office above it on Carlton Street, just a few doors down, actually from George's Place Bunsmaster. So I'll talk a little bit about residential because that's what people aren't familiar with us doing because we've been out of it for so long. We basically handle all types of renovations, additions, basements, bathrooms, kitchens. We do some exterior facelifts, remodeling, as well as garages and carports. I'll just walk you through a couple examples of some projects that we had worked on, just so you can kind of see the diversity of the things that we're able to do. So this is a home on the lake in Grimsby. It was the original about 900 square foot cottage. As you can see, we've doubled it in size. I don't always get into picking colors, so excuse the colors that the homeowner has chosen, but they are happy with it, so I'm happy with it. Did a garage on the side, a complete gut, a new front entrance. As you can see, the back that overlooks the lake. We designed cathedral ceiling with some skylights and some glass so they can fully enjoy the view of the lake. There's also a small hot tub area with fireplace and TV in that room as well. Here's some more recent projects. The top, you can see the before. These are two different projects, but the top is the before and almost fully complete on the right-hand side. This is a home in South End, St. Catharines. Did an addition to create new front entrance, gutted the whole house, relocated the stairs, bathroom, kitchen. It was a full remodel. And one we're currently working on in Grimsby is a bungalow turned into a full two-story to create it's actually going to be an ensuite for her mother, who is leaving her apartment and coming to live with her daughter and her grandkids. Couple barns that we've done. Some of you might recognize the one in the top. That's a barn we built for my father as part of his retirement hoorah, that he wanted a little bit of a toy shop. It is 3-story. We designed a special truss system so we could utilize the 1,500 square feet in the truss space for future man cave, apartment, something down the road. But again, trying to plan to the future so we're not spending so much money if we decide to alter it down the road. This is one we did in Beamsville. Again, a unique roof design for 2 reasons. One, this gentleman's a carpenter, needed some additional storage up top, and we were working with the specs of his solar panels, which run across the back of the building. He had a grant for, so we had to design the truss system to hold that and to fit those panels. So there's 2 ways in our residential that we work. We find some homeowners feel comfortable getting 2 or 3 prices, so they like to go to the designer, to the architect directly prior to contacting a contractor. We like to work that way. For us, we find it's the most fair to both the homeowner and the contractor, because we're both pricing the same thing. There's no discrepancies or change in conversation, so it's easy to compare apples to apples. But another way we work is we find a lot of people who are comfortable with our family name or have worked with us in the past. They'll get us in during design stage. We'll work with them from the initial design, give them some budgetary numbers to work with, and we'll work with the designer and the homeowner to help achieve the look they want within their budget. And this we will carry out through the permit phase, through construction and completion. So basically they only have to worry about dealing with us directly. Some of the projects we have to get a little creative depending on budgetary concerns. So yes, we want to give you as much as we can, but at the end of the day, we have to keep it to a budget. So we'll design some projects into separate phases. So maybe this year we do a portion of it and we revisit that project 2-3 years down the road to help complete. It's given them some time to come up with some extra funds. We also work with homeowners to try to give them the opportunity. If they want to have a hands-on approach, they can do things like painting, trim work themselves, or if they have family members that are in the flooring business or painters, we like to let them use some of their contacts if need be, so we can help get the project to the budget that they desire. We always try to use a personal approach. I'm involved right from the design stage all the way through the drawings, right till completion. I'm on site regularly, and depending on the size of the project, we'll appoint a full-time foreman or supervisor to work with the homeowner as well. All of our work is carried by licensed professionals, so we're not a handyman service. We don't offer a handyman service. We feel that you need to hire professionals in order for us to deliver a professional job that we can stand behind and offer a warranty. We pride ourselves on the quality of both the workmanship and the products we use, and that's why we feel so strongly about using these licensed professionals. Just give you a couple quick pictures here. Here's some man caves. We worked with the homeowner, helped designing for their needs in the basement. Basically, these are totally unfinished basements when we arrive. We go on the needs, size of furniture, pool table, layout, TV design. The top one, we worked with an audio company. It's full surround sound. It's all zoned to different rooms. This, we converted an existing garage to a master bedroom. And ensuite, as you can see here, we went with the rustic theme, so we actually designed some cabinets with our cabinet designer to mimic some distressed look cabinets. They're brand new maple, but again, we tied in some reclaimed barn board for their mirrors to try to tie it all together. This is a custom slab. I had my carpenter actually cut out of a maple tree himself, and we finished it to the top. You can see the rustic edge still in it, kind of keep with that theme. Kitchens, I try to show you a variety of kitchens because we're not a company to come in, pull out your kitchen cabinets, put new ones in. We will not be competitive doing that. But if you're working in conjunction with removing walls, new lighting, flooring, those type of things, changing the space, that's definitely right up our alley. We also like to work again within your budget. So you can see on the bottom picture here, that's the old existing cabinets. We just changed some different lighting, put some lighting in the ceiling, new granite countertops and some stonework to just dress it up. Because at the time, that's all they could afford, but they know they can get another 10 years out of that without fully replacing their kitchen. Again, same thing with bathrooms. We can get creative. The top left was a picture of a mudroom in an old farmhouse that we converted into a secondary bathroom as the house didn't have a main floor. And we do right from regular bathrooms in your standard bungalow that everyone sees to higher end full marble ensuite custom jobs. Next we have our commercial. In our commercial, like I said, we had changed scales a little bit from the way my father had operated. We still offer general contracting, construction management, and design build services. The design build end of things is probably my personal favorite, where we get to work with the business owner right from the beginning, trying to work out design and details for them that's going to best suit both their business and their budget. We do, in areas of work that we cover, we have hospitality, do a lot of offices. Tenant build outs seem to be more popular for us in the last couple of years in this area. Facade improvements, churches, and we do some work at some wineries as well. So here's a couple of pictures. Some of you guys might recognize these. I'll touch that on those later. But how we try to differ from our competitors on the commercial end, we're not a company that does public tendering. So we don't have 10 people in the office where the estimator is going to take a look at the drawings, not get to know necessarily the person with the proposed project, their needs, their wants. They're looking at drawings. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not how we set up our business. We like to be involved right from the planning stages, again, all the way through. And that involves me being on the estimating end of things all the way through completion of construction. We only take on one large-scale project at a time. So if we're building a church, we're not going to take on a full winery job at the same time. This just allows me to be personally involved with those projects, short of having many employees out, and too hard for me to cover all of that just by myself. Again, these are some new builds. There's a plaza on Martindale Road now. We're actually investors groups in. My dad was the construction manager on that. We provided all the carpentry and labor, so we didn't actually build it. We managed that for Johnson Properties, and then my carpenters were involved in the door and hardware and other things. This is New Hope Church in West St. Catharines. Again, working right from the design phase all the way through to completion. We just finished this last year for CAA when they closed up their car care center. They needed a fleet center so they could work and maintain all of their trucks and flatbeds and tow trucks. So we worked with them. Again, they gave us a budget, what they had in mind. We went to the city of Thorold, found out what we're allowed to build, how big we could build it, and tried to design something within their budget for them. Just to show you a variety, this is Whiting Equipment Canada in Welland, an industrial building. We fixed up the old building, also created some offices in an older section of one of their buildings on the property. This is Vienna Estate Winery in Beamsville. We built the far right barn for their production. And lower picture is O'Hara Trucking and Excavating. That's an old abandoned building, more or less, when we got a hold of it and gutted it completely and created office, lunchroom for their staff and their estimators. This is Monsieur Crepe at the Penn Center. We did that tenant build out last winter. Steve did the signage on that job. I've done various Life Labs facilities, both Linwell Road and the one just recently at Lakeshore Plaza in St. Catharines, and a variety of TELUS stores from St. Catharines to Niagara Falls area. Hospitality, this is some of the work we did at the Intercontinental Hotel in Toronto on Front Street attached to the Convention Center. This is a project I did with my dad. It was about a 3-year multi-phase project where we did several floors of room full renovations. You can see the spa here, the pool area, the outdoor living, upper lower lobby, and the restaurant Azure as well. And this was a complete interior gut of each particular part of this job. So thirdly is commercial services, and this is something that I started outside of what my father had done in the past. And as we scaled down with our commercial projects, we found and heard needs of larger commercial contractors and people supplying things like door and hardware. They can't find installers. So what I started to do is subcontract my carpenters and train them, because everything on this list is what I used to install for my father when I worked for him. So for me, it's pretty straightforward, and with a good carpenter, we can train them to install these things. So we do rough finish carpentry, millwork installation, door and hardware, Ackervan, and FRP installation. So for this, we work hand in hand with some contractors locally. We work a lot with Merit contractors, Pinder's Lock and Security. We work with them. We have crews basically that travel as far as Peterborough, Cornwall, all the way through. We currently have a crew at Camp Borden, the military base right now. We just finished up at the Gretzky Arena in Brantford doing the doors and hardwares there. So this is a little niche for us. And to be honest, sometimes this is the easiest and most lucrative to our company. I won't read through all this, but this is just to give you an idea of some of the companies and individuals that we've worked with here in Niagara and beyond. And I'm sure you'll recognize a lot of these names and companies.
You do that Lauren Ford right now?
No. We walked away from that job. It was too complex for our size, but we are actually Ed Learn just called me. We're doing some other work for him. So we did his truck repair center in the back, renovating his old building 2 years ago. Now he's going to have us back to do some more work there. So just some affiliations. We're Baumler approved. I don't know if any of you watch HGTV on the residential end of things. Brian Baumler has obviously his own TV shows, and he takes you through a process of interviewing clients and suppliers and making sure that companies are working to a certain standard. And then once you pass that test, you can become Baumler approved. Most of these you've seen around the city. Community involvement. I'm the assistant coach for my son's hockey team. As you see my son in the upper left, I was head coach of the T-ball team this summer. We sponsored this mini sticks, the St. Catharines Hurricane mini stick tournament. That's to do some fundraising for CYO hockey. We donated some money and some product to help them build their rinks. It's an annual thing they've started for fundraising. And we do a lot of work with Family and Children's Services. Each summer we try to send a few kids to camp at their Send a Kid to Camp program. And we also sponsor various underprivileged children and teens and families during the Christmas time, both through our company and personally.